All right, so what I want to do is talk a little bit about septic systems. A lot of people who've never had one because they were on public sewer, they don't know much about them. So just want to talk about the basics and basically how they work. So everything inside the house is normal. You flush your toilets, you run your sinks, it all goes to a main line and it comes out the house just like it normally would. And then outside of the house is where it starts to become different. This here is your first clean out from the line, comes out of the house, comes down here, there's a clean out, and then it comes down here to a holding tank. So your holding tank, the basic function of your holding tank is to have an area where the solids can separate from the liquids. So once the solids separate from the liquids, you have there's what's called baffles, and that basically keeps the solids from, like, there's the outlet baffle for the first tank. This particular system has two tanks, actually three tanks, two holding tanks. And what that does is it lets relatively clean water come up from below. So basically the solids would float. Some of them float, some of them sink, and in between is where that pipe comes from, and that comes up and lets liquid that's relatively clear from solids come into the next tank. Now this particular tank has two holding tanks. The purpose of that is to just give it another chance for the solids to settle out. So then this second tank here has this is the outlet baffle. There's always an inlet and an outlet baffle. The inlet baffle, real quick, the purpose of that is to keep, and you can't actually see that here, you might be able to get down in there. So yeah, that pipe there, that's the inlet baffle, and it's basically just like the outlet baffle. But the purpose of that is to keep the solids, or not the solids, it's to keep the ecosystem from getting disturbed, and the settlement process from getting disturbed. This particular one has a filter. That's a filter right there that gets pulled out, and again, that keeps solids from going into your pump tank. So your two basic type of systems. Right now I'm doing a hydraulic load test, that's why there's water running in here. But the two basic types would be a pressure system, which is what this is, because you have a raised drain field and you have a pump tank with a pump. That's how you know it's a pressurized system. Or you could be a gravity system, so where you wouldn't have this pump tank, it would just come out of this out of your holding tank, and gravity would run your water or effluent into your drain field, and then it would get distributed from there. And then in your drain field, the purpose of your drain field is to let your relatively clean water that doesn't have solids in it at this point to absorb into the ground, and then the earth naturally filters that water. This particular system here is like I said, it has this isn't actually like a sand mound. People pretty much call anything that has a hump as a sand mound. This is just an above grade drain field. And that's pretty much it. I just wanted to talk about the basics of how it works. We could go into a lot more about defects and what to look for, but I just wanted to talk about the basics of how it works to give just to give folks a better idea of what's going on.